And let's see. All right, we are live on so many platforms. Wow, I feel like an actual streamer. This is crazy. Emma's here with me. She's going to be assisting. What's up? And let me just pull out the chat. So if I'm looking back and forth like this, we've got an Instagram live, we've got a YouTube live, and we're going to be unboxing some Prusa printers today. And the reason I'm doing this is a ton of you guys have already asked me about, hey, like what comes with it? Why should I get the kit? Should I get the built one? Should I do this? Should I do that? So the goal for this is basically to show you guys what you get with a kit versus assembled, and kind of how the build's gonna go for you. What's up? You good? Okay. Yeah. If you guys have questions, Emma's gonna be moderating, so you can ask away. What are you doing?
Okay,
That's
I'm fine.
Ask in the YouTube live or the Instagram live. I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. And you can also just shoot me a DM anytime if you guys are really asking questions about it. Full disclosure, I do not work for Prusa. I, up until recently, have had no affiliation with them aside from the fact that I love their printers. After purchasing 6 of them from them, I now am part of their affiliate program. So I'll have a link below, or on Instagram, it's in my my links on my profile, or if you want to get one, use my link. I get a little kickback, but that's about it. No pressure to use it. I just simply love the products and I want to tell people about it. So thanks for all the help. All right, so do we have any questions already?
Yep. So Madeira Design, hey, what printer do you use? What comes with it? Is it easy to build? JK, love you too.
So, I mean, I use the Prusa Mark III. So this is an unbuilt one. I bought 2 i3 Mark IIIs. Or Prusa Mark III, it's a whole long name. There's a plus, there's an S. It means just better and better. They keep improving on it. This is just a frame for it. I bought 2 of these. This is the one that I've already started assembling. So this is about more than halfway through the build. You've got one of these. You got the rails for the X-axis. I'm sorry, the Y-axis. No, X-axis. My brain's not working. And then this is the most difficult part to build, the extruder. This is literally what it looks like before it's all connected. There's a little hot end in here, it's right there, and this takes like about an hour to put together, just that alone. So to give you guys an idea on like what this takes, Daniel Langley just built one. He's a buddy of mine, and he took about 12 hours to do the whole thing. First time I built one of these, I was probably around there as well, if not over. The best time I ever had was 6.5 hours, but it was like hyper focused on coffee to try to get it built out. This so far, I am 5 hours into it with these parts like this, which means I need another easily 2 hours just to get everything assembled. So, but the reason I tell everyone like, yo, get a kit is this is $250 cheaper than a fully assembled one. And when you get a fully assembled one, you literally like pull a finished one out of the box, start printing, and that's all you have to do. These are great because you can just basically, learn every part of it. I'll show you guys. Let's start actually unboxing. I'll show you guys everything that comes with it, because this comes down to like every single bolt, screw, nut, everything. So that's why I recommend these, because they're just like workhorses. They're easy to work on, and the parts are fairly easy to get as well if you need to fix it. That's fine.
No, just reading what everybody's saying.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see if there's anything on YouTube. Cool. Yeah. I didn't know that. It was 6 seconds, wasn't it? Okay. And by the way, YouTube Live, how's the audio, video? You guys are good? I just want to make sure everyone is happy. Okay, I think we're good here. Awesome. And anything on IG there?
Yeah, Bebby says I prefer the ASURP.
ASURP, I am not familiar with that. Another one that I have, watching on both. Another one that I have is I do have an Ender 3 Pro. I had an Ender before, and I just didn't have the best results with it, so I ended up not using it for too long. I basically was fighting with it for like 2 weeks, and I ended up returning it. I just wasn't happy with it. They are great starter machines, but you get what you pay for at the price point. It's kind of like, are you going to get Festool or are you going to get DeWalt? It all depends on like how serious you want to be about it, how little you want to have to maintain tools and printers during your hobby. So that's why I recommend these boys. But it does come with a big price tag, so I get it. So when I first bought this thing, this box was, I don't want to say twice as big, but at least half bigger than this. They got this really efficiently down. It's fully sealed up. You just cut 2 seams and you're in business. So let's start with the Mark III. This is the big one that I have behind me here. And while I do this, we got anything in there?
That's good. Nick Brim's trying to mess with us about the sound, but we sound fine.
Nick, this isn't the podcast pre-show. How do you put this in 2 spots? I don't know why. Oh, I think it's to relieve pressure. The packaging is like on point. Each time it gets gooder and gooder. Awesome. All right, so one of the major reasons why I buy this printer is that all of them come with these. They're Haribo gummy bears from Europe. They actually taste way better.
Acerb is Prusa backwards. Thank you.
What a smart aleck.
Oh, haha, because that's how they see it on Instagram, because it's backwards.
Ah, I got it.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, haha. Yeah, there it is.
Acerb.
Sir.
There you go. Okay. Wow,
I
we're slow today.
I'm like, oh, is this like some another off-brand that's coming up?
We need more caffeine.
So here's the funny thing. During the assembly process, and by the way, this is kind of a cool thing. You get a full colorized manual with one of these, and you get a 3D printing handbook actually taking you through how to fix issues. Basically, this is Petrie's Workshop, the book. If you have issues, you can text me or read through one of these books. But in here, this is fully digitized as well. I use the computer version because I just don't like having papers on a desk when I do it. Comes with stickers because, I mean, you need stickers these days. And where's the, I don't know if it's in here. If it's on the first page, basically what you do is you take the print bed of the actual printer and they have a grid where you lay out gummy bears. And then each part that you do of the printer, it tells you to eat like a certain percentage of the gummy bears. This is for real. Hey, can you find it towards the end of the first chapter in there? Awesome. Another thing really appreciate is you get a screw guide as well as QR codes to all their socials. And if you scan this one right here, it takes you straight to the assembly video of this printer.
I can read you something great.
Oh, cool.
There's a red flag here. It says the biggest issue from the previous builds, which we had to address, was inadequate bear consumption. Many of you didn't have enough bears for all chapters. Some even ate them before they started.
Yeah, so, you know, we did, rest assured, we did buy a family size, like a Costco bag of Haribo gummy bears, but they're the American ones, so, you know, still.
Yeah, there's some conversation about how they're
Big reason why. Oh, and the mini comes with a mini bag. It's this tiny one. So, much excite. All right, so then we got power cord, US. They do offer, oh, I never mentioned this. Prusa's in the Czech Republic. This is from Europe. This came from the Czech Republic as well as all the other ones. There it is. So that is the grid that you were to follow religiously. That's what you have to do. So I got our power cord in here. Let me scoot this back. Oh, to anyone that's confused, I'm in my workshop. To anyone that's not a woodworker that's in here. But they also send you this receipt that actually does a full check of all the components included in your kit, as well as your hotbeds and hot ends temperature ranges. So how quickly it reached the peak temperature and how well it maintained it and how quickly it cooled down. So this is really cool that they give you a nice little check mark with your stuff. The other cool thing is inside all these boxes, actually I'll get to it. Actually no, it's at the top. Cool. You got this. So this is their filament. This is their Prusa in silver. And can I use my phone?
Yeah.
Cool. It's got a QR code on it, right? And the cool thing is you can scan this QR code. See if I can do it. Awesome. And it takes you to a website. Oh, it did not scan the right thing. Let's see if I can do it. If you scan the QR code, it is going to... let's see if it's going to do it. It's having trouble scanning it. But this QR code, if I can actually scan it, tells you all of the ratings for this one filament. Within what tolerance the filament was actually made. It has to be perfectly 1.75 millimeters, otherwise it won't fit through the extruder. This will actually give you a full readout of like the variance in the entire thing, and it's usually to like the thousandths of an inch. Yeah, for some reason it's not scanning. Is it?
Is that what you mean?
No, it's supposed to be throwing up a website link. We'll try to pull that up in a little bit. This I actually appreciate. On my first one, I took this off. This is the entire exploded version of this extruder. So this whole messy jumble of stuff is that. So I actually cut this out on the previous one. I'm gonna frame it because I think this is kind of cool. I mean, I know it's not a print, but they should sell this as a print. So we got this, our little manual here. All right, next. Also, 12 out of 10 for packaging. This box is stout. And any questions so far? I think we're good. Yeah. All right, you guys do. Emma's here. There's none over here that I see. Live chat. It's just Nick Brim being funny in the last one. All right, next we got a Delta power supply. This is one of their newer ones. I have two or three versions of the power supplies at this point. So the whole thing runs on 12 and 24 volt DC. So it basically, this is just an AC to DC converter. That's why they're able to run it on both 110 and 220 because of these suckers. And these are ultra quiet. With a lot of these higher-end printers, you get like electrical whine. Those of you that know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's annoying and loud. So these are very high efficiency power supplies. The printer draws like negligible amounts of power. I run mine around the holidays like 24/7, and it's the equivalent of like leaving a few light bulbs on during a month. Like it's really nothing. So to anyone that's concerned about power, even though it heats things up, it's really not that bad. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in here as well. There is a Q&A section or little question thing, so feel free to throw some questions in there. Let me actually take all this stuff out onto the bench. We're going to continue from there. X-axis. Bars. What do you? Okay, take that. Thank you. And this is the last one. Cool. I'm going to file this gently over there. Cool. Awesome. All right. So next thing we got is these boxes. One's heavy, one's light. The heavy one's got all the screws and everything in it. And this is when the first time you really get like the Prusa shock of like how much of a kit this is, because everything in here is individually packaged. You get your a set of tools. So there are Allen wrenches, there's pliers, and a screwdriver. These are actually really good screwdrivers and pliers, so I use these a lot. But I'm gonna give these guys a little shout out. Michael Pro Tools sent me this little kit of T-handle Allen wrenches, and these actually, I pretty much use these three for assembly of the whole thing, and it really made a huge difference. It made it so much faster. So pick yourself up a good set of T-handles, because otherwise you're gonna be struggling a little bit. You good?
2 questions.
Yeah.
Kamani wants a better close-up shot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Of which part? Well, here,
I think the camera's just far away. I will entertain everybody while we wait. And then Ben at Condorosa Creations wants to know, what's the goal number of printers?
Yep.
Really pretty.
There isn't a goal. I guess it's pretty much infinite. Hold on, let me
It's
see.
not my best angle.
Very good.
A lot of printers. As many as we need so that Peter doesn't have to wake up in the middle of the night to change the printer.
Actual thing. How does that look?
That looks pretty good. My hair's not so great.
Whoa, nice hair, Emma.
I don't know about that. But...
All right, guys. Hopefully that's
good.
Yeah, my head's gonna be cut off a little bit, but that's fine. I want you guys to see all the products. So, yeah, the goal number of printers is enough so that I'm not running them 24/7. Even though I want them to run 24/7, but because it's just me right now, I used to run these on, when I had 1 or 2, on like a 8 to 10 hour schedule. So I would start a print at 10 o'clock at night that ran for 8 hours. I would wake up in the morning, end the print, switch it over to something else, go to work or work from home or whatever, continue printing. Then when I was done with that, I would continue the next thing. So basically I was running a 24/7 schedule. I don't want to do that. That's why I got more machines, so I can run them less and still get a lot of work done. What else we got there?
Okay, any discount codes?
So there isn't a discount code. Prusa does not do any discounts. The only thing they offer is the affiliate program for people that they deem that they're helpful to their brand. I was lucky enough to be selected when I applied, so I have an affiliate code. So if you use my code, you would be helping me out. I get a couple cents. It's like a small percentage, but it helps me out. It's another piece of the pie that helps me keep doing this all the time.
And you can help people decide which one works for them.
And I'm happy to offer, advice and stuff like that. That's why I'm here. That's why I do this. Anything else?
Okay, what kind of substances can this unit print? Carbon fiber or mariachi?
¿Qué pasó?
I'm just reading.
So this prints different plastic. So both plastics and plastic mixtures. There's actually wood PLA and carbon fiber PLA, TPU, which is flexible, ABS, which is very dense and hard. But a lot of these blends, these higher temperature prints, filaments, they actually require that you vent outside your house. I print in my basement. It would vent into the house. So right now I'm not printing any corrosives at all, but one of the goals is for one of these printers to become the real workhorse to like run like they call them abrasives through it, because not only do they run at a higher temperature, but they actually erode your nozzle a lot faster. So you'll have to swap out your nozzle. It's really cool the amount of stuff you can print, and like I firmly believe that everyone's gonna have a fancier version of this in their house in the next 20 years. It's gonna become. I mean, there's 3D printers for drinks now. I forget where I saw that.
I mean, I know a lot of people that don't have paper printers.
They don't have paper printers, but like fabrication of small things or on-demand things in your house is really going to become a thing. Whether that's 3D printing with plastic or different compounds for a drink. Like they make ones for like just like smoothies or whatever, and then they make ones for alcohol too. So that's crazy. Mm-hmm. You can 3D print a drink.
We don't have one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 more questions.
Yep.
My mini will be here. I think I'm doing these out of order.
Oh, nice.
Should be here within the week. What's the most important number 1 rule you have when printing? That's a good question.
So Nick, I think that's Nick Pachi. The most important thing I would think is temperature and humidity control when you're printing. When you get your filament, it's sealed in plastic. It's over here. It's sealed in plastic, and you want to try to keep it out of the air as much as possible, because if it's too humid, the plastic will actually absorb moisture, and what happens is you're superheating the hot end of the plastic, and if there's any little bits of, some moisture is okay, but if it's really like, I don't want to call it wet filament, but if it's wet filament, you're going to have issues with printing, because all those little molecules of water are off-gassing inside your nozzle, and you're going to have uneven and poor prints or failures. So you want to try to avoid that. So all of these usually come with a little silica pack. What I do then is I get the 2-gallon Ziploc bags. I throw the thing in there, the filament in there, and I throw the silica bag and I seal it up with as much air out as possible. That's worked for me well. Some people are obsessive. They get dehumidifiers for them. You really don't need to do that. And the other thing is, wherever you place it in a house, you got to make sure there isn't an active breeze. I actually had failures on one of my printers at the old house during the summers because the air conditioners would be hitting the print, and the printer was getting uneven readings, and it would fail my prints. And I didn't know what it was for weeks until I was like, oh, that's super weird. As soon as I moved the ports for the AC, I was good. So you want to try to make sure you maintain a pretty good temperature, because also if it gets too cold, what happens is the bed is hot, the hot end is hot. As it's laying down a material, the top layer is hot, and that will want to shrink and peel up. If there's cold air hitting it, it's going to shrink a lot faster and cure faster, and then you're going to get basically warpage on your print. So temperature control is key with this. I'm going to pause on the questions for now. I just want to get through this box so you guys know what's coming in it. So first thing you got is all of the screws, and all of them are labeled with the number of the chapter that you're going to be reading in that book. So they're all in order. So this is just a bag of spares. They actually send you a boatload of spares, including the magnets that you need. This is for the X-axis. This is this boy right here. So for this part right here, this is the bag for it. You see all these individually sealed bearings are in there too. They're literally all in their own little bags with lubricant already on there. If you ever have to lube them, additionally, they do include lubricant here, and this is a cool little 3D printed tool that when you put it on the cap, you can squeeze it and it'll grease the bearings from the inside. It's really neat. So crazy stuff you can do with 3D printing. USB cable, which you only need for flashing firmware and updating your printer. A glue stick, because with certain filaments, you need to actually add adhesion, while other filaments, you need to like reduce adhesion. So you get a stick glue, literally just like school glue. That's all it is. So next one we got is, this is for the Y-axis. So there you go, more components. So this actually is all the stuff for this base. And all the bearings, all the motor parts, yada yada. Electrical wires, and more screws. And then we got the E-axis, which is the extruder. So that's all the components for that. And some more for the Z-axis. These are for the actual assembly of these parts and attaching it to the frame. I left that part off because obviously we don't want to put it together. So if I was following the kind of the build, this would already be, sorry, you guys can't see this. This part, the X-axis, would already be on the frame, and the extruder would be mounted onto it. But I wanted to build it in parts so you guys could see all the different components of it. Then we got zip ties, a whole bag of zip ties. And then you have the extruder box. And this is one that's very important. This is all those components that they test. So you got, this is your hot end. This is what actually heats up that little brass nozzle at the bottom there. Let's see if I can show you better. There it is. So that's your hot end. Your heating element, and this includes a thermistor that tells the printer how hot it is or how cold it is. That's one of the parts that's very unlikely to fail, but can fail. So you can get all these parts as a part or as the parts that build it up too. The fans, this is the one that I'm replacing on my other printer right now. This is the hot end fan, and then we have the this is the hot end fan that actually cools off and maintains the temperature of this heat block. This is the one that's for the nozzle that helps you maintain the temperature at the print at the bottom. And then a couple of IR sensors, because it does have sensors to detect if you've run out of filament, which is actually very useful. So a lot of these cheaper printers don't have a filament sensor on them, which is bonkers in this day and age, which means when you run out of filament, your printer just keeps printing in air and keeps trying to feed what's not there. So with these printers, they'll pause, they'll go into the corner and wait patiently for you to actually replace the filament. So that's kind of a big plus. This one has the motherboard in it and components for assembling the actual box that contains it. Make sure it doesn't get damaged. And last but not least, some isopropyl alcohol and a needle for cleaning your nozzle, as well as your LCD screen that's on the printer. Now this does not have a color printer, a color screen. The Mini does. But the Mark III, they haven't done that yet. It might be in the future models of it. However, as of right now, there is no real conversation around that. Prusa decided to go a different route of maintaining this printer as much as possible because they can get components on it instead of trying to release the new thing that no one's going to be able to get. They really care about the community. And the best part about their printers is anytime they release a new one, there's an upgrade path. You could technically have a Mark II that then get upgraded to a Mark IIs, 3, 3S, 3S Plus. There is an upgrade path for all of them. So if you have an older machine, you can actually get in on this and upgrade it to the newest one. So that's a big plus. What's up? Oh. This is the extruded aluminum and the metal parts for the actual base that's for the frame here in the front and back. So it's all, I believe it is aluminum. I don't think it's magnetic. Yep. Oh yeah, thank you. And then this is the little extruded aluminum blocks.
Is that too close?
No, you're good. So extruded aluminum blocks, same thing for the base. Now, the flatter you can get it upon assembly, the better. So what I actually like to do is I like to come into the workshop and use my cast iron to flatten the bed out so there's no wiggle at all. Ha ha ha.
Jason Sullivan wants to know about your code, your affiliate link. That's just on your link trees.
Yes, it's on my link tree. If you click the link in my profile, the link tree's there, and yeah, and you can get all the info there. I think
this is from your thing.
Yeah, you might be able to share it. And this just has some cable sleeving and a pack of the rods that actually support the machine. Now, that's another thing where this machine differs from other ones. The Ender 3 Pro only uses a single rod on the side to move your axis up and down, whereas the Mark III uses two Y-axis rod or Z-axis rods, so it moves on both sides evenly, and it uses a straight rod for support. So you're buying a fairly rigid machine, which is really cool. All right, this other box is basically all the pretty orange and black components that you see, and once again, they're all, nicely labeled on here. So it's easy to find, figure out which part you're working on, and you're just pulling parts for that. So it's a very organized Lego, I gotta say. Then we have this box, this flat box here. And this has the frame and the hotbed and the steel printing plate. So this is the plate, and yet another reason why these printers are so great. These plates right here. So the coating on here is, why am I blanking on the name of the coating? But it's amazing. Everything sticks to it, and when you need to pop it off, you simply just flex it and it pops right off the plate. I do these little satisfying videos sometimes, so you guys may have seen it on my Instagram. But this build plate is amazing. I've been running mine like crazy. My oldest build plate is just now starting to lose adhesion, so I'm like, all right, I got a new one and replaced it. This is that one's got about 3 years on it. Because the original one came, it was like a black one and it didn't stick as well. When they released the new ones, it was like, oh, day and night. So good. Next one is the hot bed. Destructive way to open this. There we go. So this is a very interesting part because gotta be very careful. That's the thermistor. That's one repair that I think Prusa could maybe improve upon, because the bed would have to completely come off just to replace this one little part. What this is essentially a temperature sensing coil that's in here, a wire, and it runs through the back of the bed and plugs into the printer. Now, that being said, on all 4 of my printers, 2 of them being well over 2 years old, I've only replaced the thermistor twice. Twice? Yeah, twice. And it's really not that bad of a repair. It's just tedious. You got to take the bed off and whatnot. But aside from that, it's pretty easy. And this repair is like, I think it's like $7 for this cable. So it's not too bad. But basically, this is the part that heats up the bed. There are printers out there as well that don't have hot beds. They only have a hot, thank you, a hot end, and the bed itself just stays at whatever the room temperature is. That's why a lot of people have failures and delaminations, because it's inconsistent temperature. If something's hotter on one side and cooler on the other, it'll bend on you. Just like anyone that does metalworking, same exact thing happens. So, if you're heating up one side and not the other, stuff's gonna move. And then lastly, we have, sorry YouTube channel, because I'm hitting the mic, the frame, right, with your serial number of your machine, and this is the reinforced frame for the bed. Now, here's the thing. A lot of us, talk about like bed leveling with 3D printing. You have to level your bed. You have to do this, do that. These things are like dead nuts flat. They're seriously so flat coming out of the factory. I have checked this on the cast iron in my shop that I know for a fact is dead flat, and there's no wiggle at all. But the other bonus is too, this printer comes with a Pinda is a company, Pinda, probe that actually mounts on it. It's on me, actually put on the extruder already. So this little guy right here, that boy, see right there, that actually detects the distance between the bed and the sensor. So as it's going around, it does a 3x3 or a 7x7 check. So basically it does, moves over an inch, boop, 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 and it checks 7x7 grid of the level of your bed. So you never have any issues. A buddy of mine, Frank, was just printing. His was still set by default to 3x3, and he ended up changing it to 7x7, and his prints actually were sticking better. So he had some, I guess, some warping in the bed, because he runs a lot of very abrasive stuff through his machine. But little things like that are quality of life improvements. And that was something that was community recommended, and they ended up just doing it themselves, and putting it into the firmware, because they actually listen, they care, and they're very active in the community. The last one is the motors that actually run everything. These are NEMA stepper motors. Anyone that's familiar with like CNCs or lasers or anything like that, you're very familiar with these as well. So they basically are able to do super minute steps, and these don't have a lot of noise. This is hands down the quietest printer I have ever used in my life. So one of the big reasons it is so quiet is these boys right here. So any questions that we have so far? Was there another one we had?
One more question.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. We're gonna move over to the mini.
How much does an enclosure improve an actual print? Are they worth the cost, or should you make yo?
Your
I'm a
own.
Huron.
Yes, yes, and yes. So it does make a difference because if you can maintain the ambient temperature, again, that warping is a big issue. Also, how cold or hot the room is can actually change the finish of your print. How quickly the plastic cures while it's being laid down can like actually seriously change the look of your print. So it could go from matte to super glossy, even with a standard type of filament. So if it's a glossy filament, you can actually get a fairly matte finish if you play around with your temperatures. That's for those people that like just love to tweak and like get the best result and mess around with. Because for some people, tinkering is the hobby. Like there are people out there that just want to get the best print possible. I want my machines to function well, and with these, I have to do no tinkering, and the print just comes out, money, so good. Oh, and then, but yes, build one. The fancy ones. If you have one machine, the fancy enclosures are worth it. Maybe the Prusa just released one that's like $350. That's a little overkill. Unless you're really trying to like, you have one printer and you want to be running some like crazy abrasive stuff through it, or have some maintenance, or add one of the attachments that's there. It's a cool, neat thing, but you don't necessarily need it. You can build one a lot cheaper. That being said, get an enclosure if you can. For me, my enclosure is my room. There's 4 printers in there. I try to maintain the temperature of that room as much as possible. And when I do abrasive stuff, I'm gonna do it probably in an enclosure in a different space. So I don't want Emma coughing funny because I use abrasive filaments. Now let me grab the mini here. All right. Any more questions about the Mark III before we keep going? We got 12 people in here. Awesome. Yeah, people keep filling in and out.
Great.
And anyone here? Oh, thank you. You shared that link in
You're
there.
welcome.
Yes, Kamani. The table don't jiggle jiggle. It folds. All right, so now we're gonna break the seal on the mini. Now I haven't gotten a mini in a couple years now, so they may have changed their packaging. They do sell this as a kit. The kit is currently on like a 16 to 18 week back order because it's easier for them to ship it as a partially assembled. So these guys, the minis are actually not offered as a fully assembled unit. You can get it as a partially assembled one. So you still have a little bit of assembly required on this one. Now, one difference between the Mark III and the Mini. The Mark III uses an SD card. The Mini uses a USB thumb drive sticky. It's actually a decent one too. It's like a little aluminum one, so pretty neat. Include that, and you got an SD card with the other boy as well. Of course, we get our receipt of everything being okay and the temperature graphs being nice and smooth. That's what we want. Put that here, and let's see. Michael Bublé. Got our sheet just like on the other one with all our screws. 3D printing handbook for the Mini with stickers inside. And let's actually make some space. This is going to be extremely messy.
We need the gummy bears.
Yeah, gummy bears. You want to bust open the gummy bears?
No.
You want bust them open. Let's go. Let's go! So you don't get a full roll with the Mini, but you do get some sample filament. So this is enough to do a couple of the prints. All of these printers come with a bunch of stuff preloaded. This happens with a lot of companies too. I know Enders do as well. They give you a couple prints to just try out first when you get your machine, which is great. Because then for people that don't quite know what to do yet, you can just pop that thing in there, pop in your filament, preheat it, and start running prints and get excited about what you're doing. The nice thing is too, say what you want with it, but they arrange the prints on the bed to get the best possible results too. What that means is like, some of you may have seen like the Benchy, the little tugboat that you print to essentially test your printer. It really checks, it checks all the parts of your printer. It's got curves, it's got straight lines, it's got overhangs, it's got tall spires on it. And it's a good way to just like benchmark your printer, hence Benchy. Now, the way they print it is not, straight XY or an X-axis or Y-axis. They print it at an angle. The reason they do that is because when it's printing, it's using all of the stepper motors at once to move it, hence making it more stable. If it's just going back and forth, it's quicker, but it doesn't necessarily give you the cleanest result because it's just one axis moving. When it's at an angle, it's using both axes, and you're actually getting a more stable print. fun little fact. So you do get a cleaner print on your first ones, and then that's why you got to tweak some of the stuff and figure out what the best way to print it is. So we got our filament.
Yeah, two
question?
questions.
Yeah.
On YouTube, Nick C. Is Prusa better than Hatchbox?
Yes. I hate to say it, and Hatchbox is great. I love Hatchbox. I've been using Hatchbox for since the beginning. Actually, it was like the one filament that I really, really enjoyed. So I used Hatchbox for a bunch of years, but then COVID happened and their stock went down. They were just not able to fulfill the orders. But the thing is, like, Hatchbox is still about like $22 to $24 a box. It used to be $17. I've gotten it as cheap as $14 on Amazon. That's the crazy thing. Ugh, COVID. But it was very good quality filament. Was it the best out there? I don't know. I don't think so, but it really worked really well. Prusa is like top of the line, amazing stuff, but it's like $30 a pop, and you got to get it imported from Europe. So that's kind of the big hard selling point, or the not selling point for me. Mm-hmm. I wish they were kind of importing it over here somewhere to do some Amazon sales, but usually most of the Amazon stuff that's out there is scalpers, unfortunately, and that's driving the price up. Another one, don't listen to anyone telling you that one filament is better than the other. It may work for you, it may not work for someone else. I was told for years that Inland is the bottom of the barrel, is the worst filament, terrible. It's Eson. Eson and Inland are the same company, or Inland gets their filament from Eson. Eson makes decent stuff, and I've been printing now with Inland for about 2 years, and it's solid. Everything comes out just fine, no issues. I had one bad batch of filament in the hundreds of rolls that I've already gone through, and it's still printed fine, but it was just a little brittle. If I like really played with it, it would snap. So I got rid of that batch. Everything else has been perfect. So play around with stuff, get a couple rolls here or there, and see what actually works best for you.
This is actually related to the mini.
Oh yeah.
What are the dimensions for the max print size? So I guess you could say for the mini and for the
yeah, so that is actually, can you just look it up? I'll give you guys the exact amount. The mini is not, people think it's like half the bed size. The mini is about 70% of the print bed of the Mark III. Let me do this. I'm gonna pull out the bed. Oh, that's right. I got the powder coated sheet. So they also have different sheets that they offer. I got the steel sheet and the powder coated, and then they have a satin. So the difference in that is, I'll show you guys when I'm actually looking at the parts. This is their standard. It's a satin sheet. Prints come off super hyper clean off this thing. This is the powder coated, and this has like a bit of a, it's almost like, if anyone ever got an Ender, Enders come with these like flimsy beds on them now, but they're kind of coated and a little rough. It's like that. And this is actually what they use to print all of their parts for the printers. And what happens is it leaves like this like granulated surface almost, and it hides the layer line. So it really looks nice when it's being presented. I don't know if I have any parts here. But what did you find?
It says print volume of 18 centimeters, 7 inches cubed. That means
18. There's like a comparison too.
for the mini.
So it's 7 inches by 7 inches by 7 inches. 7 by 7 by 7. 18 centimeters by 18 by 18. The Mark III does 8 by 9 by 8. That's the difference, I believe. So you're really not losing that much space. That's why I tell a lot of people, like, get the mini. It's $400 shipped with the filament sensor, everything. Honestly, you get the Ender for $200 and throw another $50 to $100 worth of upgrades, and you're almost there at the top of the line. So why not just save yourself the time? So we got that. Of course, we got our power cord. The alcohol prep pad with the needle. This is the filament sensor. So the filament sensor is actually an add-on, but it's only about $25. Highly worth it. Highly worth it. And the difference between the Mini 2 is it's a Bowden tube system. So the Bowden tube, there's a PTFE tube. Oh, it's probably inside the thing. And essentially, you feed the filament on the side of the printer, and the filament runs through a tube to the hot end. With some of the cheaper printers, unfortunately, like an Ender, the PTFE tube has a little bit of play in there. It's minimal, but it's enough so that when the gear moves the filament in and out, it'll bow in the Bowden tube. That's not from the name, but like it'll kind of bind up in there before it starts actually feeding it into the hot end. It's minimal, but if you're really trying to get the best results, you can actually see the difference. If you have an ender, I highly recommend getting the Capricorn tubing PTFE tube. That's a really good company. They make very solid PTFE tubes. I believe that Prusa uses them or something equivalent to their level of detail to when they create it. So definitely look into that. But the filament sensor, worthwhile upgrade, definitely get that. And the nice thing is it's easy to just add on if you want to get it after the fact. Then, little mini Haribos. A little baby
No
ones.
green in there.
Where's
Jeff?
Nope, sorry. Oh, you want to return it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this one's going back. And then we have,
Okay.
Then we have the little filament holder. So the filament doesn't sit on top of the printer. This one actually sits on the table next to it. I'll be making a custom hanger for it. Got some more parts for the bearings, the feet, and our lubricant. Let's move this out of the way. And let's see, what do we got here? Oh, empty part. Yeah. What's in here? Ooh. Sorry, we're figuring this out as we go. I think this can. Let me show you how I can get that.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay. So got some extra foam for packaging. Big reveal. Alright. Oh yeah, so that is the LCD screen. And that's actually a color LCD screen. So that's one nice thing over the Mini. The Mini also has one feature that I really wish the Mark III had, which is repeat print. You just hit one button and repeat the print again. On the Mark III, you have to go back to the queue and like figure out which one you want to print again. So there's that. All right, so we are here. This is. There you go. That's your partially built Prusa Mini. So it's basically just the bed.
You want to fold this down?
I should fold this down. Why am I doing this the stupid way? This is literally a wiggle. Okay. Just being extremely careful with this. There we go. Hey, look at that. That's the Thermistor cable. The very, flimsy part. But this actually doesn't fail that often on this boy, so that's cute. Awesome. It's so cute, like cute little Mini. So that's the bed right there. Everything's pretty much pre-assembled. See, this one differs a little bit because these parts are actually extruded plastic, whereas on the Mark III, it's metal or 3D printed. So this is one of the few parts that Prusa actually decided to do as a extruded plastic instead of making the part themselves. And of course it's running on these very, very fine bearings. There are like crazy upgrade kits for these. You can get like linear bearings, which if you know what those are, it's basically like the Cadillac of cars. It's really not worth it. These things are just plenty awesome on their own. See, and what's over here? Cute little power supply. Oh, you got all the power, don't you? That's actually, the funny thing is the power supply is off the printer. So this prints to the, this connects to the little motherboard on the side, and the power supply itself just sits off to the side. So that's kind of neat too. And last but not least, let's do it this way. Hey, boom. There you go. That's the, this is the main Mini part. This is the front of it. That's our extruder there. And this is the Bowden tube that I was talking about. So that's going into the extruder gear that's actually in the back of the machine, in this case. And it does have a single shaft, a single NEMA stepper motor moving it up and down, but it does have a dual rail system. And these are actually a lot fatter wow, these are thicker. Were these always like this? My previous Minis, I could have sworn were as thick as the standard ones that they use on everything else. I think they may have actually modified this because this is the Mini Plus now. So they did upgrade it already since they've released it. And the assembly, obviously there's a bunch of steps to it to make sure you do it in the right order. Thank you, baby. But the assembly essentially is...
And we can't get a color screen for the Mark III, right?
Yes, we can, actually. So this is the finished printer. Not finished, but it looks like this when it's all done. And it's super light, it's super mobile. Like, if if I was ever gonna like teach a 3D printing class, this is the printer that I would just grab and like bring with me and like show people how to run this stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and gently place this down here. Oh, and filament sensor. So the filament sensor actually goes at the end of this. So this gets removed, gets put in, and you're done, just like that. Very easy upgrade to do. Stay there. Move this out of the way. Cool.
So you can if you try hard
So it's not if you try hard enough. So what you do with the Mark III, you can actually, in here, let's move this back a little bit now.
Okay.
Just so we can be seen, or actually, let's lift this up. Let me know when we're good. Higher, or
That seems good.
hope you can see my head, because I'm like cut off in there. I'll squat. So with the Mark III, the cool thing is a lot of this stuff actually, a very good amount of this printer is open source. I think actually no, all of it is open source except some of the like the components that Prusa uses, they make in house as well. But you can download all these parts. You can 3D print all the extra spare parts for this machine. I have the Prusa Mint Orange in my house already, so if I ever need to print a spare part, I can. You can pretty much get most of this stuff on the market, and people build a lot of like Prusa hacked machines and whatnot. But what that also means is that there's a lot of support out there for a lot of us have heard of like Octoprint, Octopies. They're pretty great. I mean, you just get a little computer, you set it up with your printer. It's set up to work with it. Get some gummy bears. It's set up to work with it, and you essentially can control your printer remotely, watch it on a camera, stop, start, tweak the temperature, get more input, and you can also wire it up to work with a color screen. So Octoprint is a great little feature to have to add on there, because, I mean, why not? If you have one printer especially, mod the heck out of it. Yeah, like I don't really have to mod anything with the printer itself, but being able to set up a little color screen, and people run them in dual, like you can actually print a 3D print a front face that has both screens on it. You can control it easily with each one. So if you can do that, heck yeah, do that, because that's not an expensive upgrade.
Nick Brim wants to know, for someone who just wants to play with 3D printing, Mini or Mark III?
Mini, 100%. Get the Mini. Well, listen, there's people that just want to play, and they'll buy the best thing. Like, there's people out there that are like, I want to fly a drone, and they drop 3Gs on a drone. Like, that's their prerogative, and I'm not shopping with anyone's wallet. If you're going to get one printer, I think it's the Mark III, if the cost is not a problem. But if you just want something to get started with, something to have fun with, something that'll, if you really want to, make you money, even just to offer printing services for models that are already offered out there, or create your own designs, the Mini's amazing. But then again, I have friends like my friend Frank. He got his Mini, then he got the Mark III. He loves the Mini. He's like, I don't really love the Mark III. I think it's just because it doesn't have a color screen. He's spoiled now. So there's that. Let's see.
TSG Makes says Octoprint is the best. You can even add an empty spool alert.
Yeah. So you can do alerts. It actually, what was cool when I had it set up, because I used to have it set up before I had multiple printers, it would email me with a photo of a finished print and be like, hey, your print's done. So little things like that, just quality of life improvements. A lot of people actually ask me all the time, like, are you going to set up Octoprint on all your printers or not? And basically what I tell them is, yes, but what I want to do, here, just add a little something to the foreground here. What I really want to do is set up a farm management system. So it's a singular piece of software. You have an Octoprint set up on all of your devices, but you can control it all from one spot in one window, see what's running, what print's going, what cameras where. Prusa has their own version that they are beta testing. They've been beta testing it for years now, but they're beta testing releasing it to the public. I am on the wait list. I really want to get my hands on it because I would love to run the software that they're using. There is some other software out there, but I love to just, they built it for these machines with all the bells and whistles. So I really want to get my hands on that thing because that software is going to save me a lot of time.
Have you ever considered the Creality with the belt for mass production?
I haven't played around enough with the belt printers. So with Thomas, it's Thomas from France. By the way, thanks for joining us. I know it's a little later there. What he's talking about is printers that essentially have a belt, like a treadmill belt that continues going this way, and the printer prints at a 45-degree angle. What's cool about that is it opens up a lot of possibilities to printing things without having supports in certain ways. So it's actually a really cool concept for how you would print stuff. And they're great for mass production because you can, just keeps printing. And when it gets to the end of the bed, it folds down and the print just falls away into a bucket or whatever. So there are people that will do that. They'll just keep printing the same thing over and over again and run these things until they stop. And that's great. Like, I just haven't played around with that. Also, you have to really think about the way the printer prints, because as it prints layer lines. And what that means is if that print's going to snap, it'll most likely be between the two layers that are joined. So if the printer is printing out of 45 and you need something that is long and rigid, there's a chance that it could snap along those layer lines. The same reason why you wouldn't want to necessarily print something long, staining straight up. You'd want to print it flat because it layers layer by layer by layer, and breaking it this way, you're more likely to bend it or something instead of snapping it because the layers are going the opposite direction. So it's an interesting machine. I would love to get one in the shop. One of the reasons I got the Ender now is because I get questions about the Ender all the time. And now I have one and I can more knowledgeably answer the questions for you guys. So that's kind of an investment for, making sure I can help the community while still having another machine that I can use as a workhorse for some other prints. So good question. Mm-hmm. Anything else in there?
There's a question being written on YouTube, but I'm waiting for it to come.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but it's not there yet.
Who has questions?
Gregory wanted to know if he could ask questions. I said yeah.
Oh, yes, please ask questions. So we're going to hang out for a little longer. If anyone has questions, please throw them in. To anyone that's joining now, we're kind of dipped in numbers, but anyone that's joining now, we're basically doing like an unboxing and talk about 3D printing and printers. This is not an ad for Prusa. Go out there, get whatever printer you want. I just recommend a hobby to everyone, whether it's an Ender, whether it's a longer than another brand, or any of these knockoffs. Just don't go with some super cheapo one. I highly recommend the Enders if you're looking to spend a little less. Or you need a larger format printer because Prusa doesn't have the XL out yet officially. You can pre-order it, but it's not out. If you really need to print big things or tall things, there are many, many awesome printers out there. This is an open source thing in the world, so people can make them and customize them. But if you're trying to get into the hobby, get an Ender or get a Prusa. Those are kind of the only two, or MakerBot, I think, is another one. Ones where there's a community behind it. Because if you get a no-name brand off of Amazon or from Canadian Tire or Aldi, whatever, because yes, Aldi does sell 3D printers.
What?
And yeah, in Australia, I found out they sell 3D printers. If you get any of those random brand ones, there's not necessarily going to be support around it. So if you break something, you have to piece together information from other people's experiences with other printers that are similar. So you're not necessarily going to get the answers right away. To bring up Daniel Langley again, he called me yesterday or 2 days ago. We were at our friends, and he's like, "Hey, I just built my printer, but it keeps failing on the x-axis, going left to right." And I call him and I just go, "Check your zip ties." He's like, "What?" Yeah, check the zip ties on the back. On the back of the extruder, all these things get kind of tied together into a neat little ponytail, and then get run back, and then you zip tie them to this thick plastic wire that's there. The zip tie was supposed to be pointed down, the little head of it. It was pointed to the left, and it was bumping into the motherboard casing, and it wasn't allowing the printer to go all the way left. He would have spent hours troubleshooting that. And I just answered a question in 30 seconds. That's why I say get something that is community backed. That's why I recommend the Onefinity CNC or Shapeoko or even the X-Carve, because there's already a community around it. If you have questions, you're gonna get the questions answered fairly quickly. What's up, guys? There's a lot of good people in here. What's up?
2 questions.
Oh, 2 questions. Yay.
Okay. Grumpy Woodchucker wants to know: have you started using the Ender yet?
Not using it regularly. It's running. It's tuned. It's dialed in. I leveled the bed, but I haven't incorporated it into my work flow yet. I will eventually. I just need to find a better bed solution because I'm not a big fan of their bed that they have on there right now. filament just like sticks to it and like it gets embedded in there and I can't scrape it off. So not a fan.
And then Nixie wants to know anyone that you would suggest when it comes to repairs. In parentheses, I wrote YouTube.
Oh,
where do you go to figure out how to fix it?
yes. So if you're trying to get information on any kind of 3D printing, but especially the three brands that I mentioned, Joel, the 3D printing nerd, is a god. He is the best. He's one of the most positive, awesome, nice people on the planet. I have never been lucky enough to interact with him. I hope to one day. But he provides all this information for free. He just to give you an idea, this guy's been reviewing printers for the last 5-10 years. He's touched every printer on the market, whether that's a welding print, a metal printer, which yes, they print with welders, basically just like welding metal on top of itself, to house printers that print with concrete, to ceramics, to different kind of filaments, all kinds of different machines. And he just started a printing farm. And what did he do? He bought 40 Prusa Mark IIIs. Just goes to show you that, like, it's not like, this is a quality machine. It's a workhorse. For the cost, it's expensive, but for the level of production it does, it's really going to save you a lot of money long term. And so Joel's amazing. Go check him out. Another one is Maker's Muse. I'm blinking on his first name, and I feel really bad. He's a really good one. And then let me see if I can find the last one. I'm blanking on his name as well. He did a lot of Ender videos. He kind of got me started with it. But I am forgetting his name. So maybe I'll find it as we're looking around. But do you have another question in there as well?
Nope. Grumpy Woodchucker was saying it's easier to search for problems specifically than people for the repair.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I mean, hopefully you won't have too many problems. And yeah, sorry.
Should I get things?
Yeah. Get our support here, please. Oh, the last one is the account is Teaching Tech.
So you might be wondering.
Oh yeah, you might be wondering why this is playing. Okay, Teaching Tech. And again, I'm blanking on the gentleman's name, but he's been great. When I got my Ender, when I was first getting into 3D printing, I binged his videos. They're very good. Also, a lot of these guys have very soothing accents. It's very nice, very fun to listen to, and the information that they throw at you is just invaluable. That's why I'm doing this too. I have people reach out to me all the time asking me why this one, why that one, what do you recommend for this, for that? I'm like, oh, let me just do a live stream. This is Binks. She's the shop manager.
She's coming to say hi.
Hi, Binks.
Hi.
So, I always get asked like, oh, which one would you use? Why would you use this one? What comes in a box? Is it worth it? What if I need to fix it? Blah, blah, blah. Like all this stuff, I'm able to provide at least some of this information in this live stream. I know the cat is very distracted now. No, don't rub against. No, don't go in there. That's holding the camera.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming, Binks. She loves the shop. She just loves to come in here and hang out. All right, guys. So give it another minute. If we don't have any other questions, then I think we're gonna wrap up. I was gonna try to maybe start building it, but honestly, it's gonna be too distracting with everyone here. I love that you guys all joined. This is super awesome. I can't believe I was able to put this together. Yeah. I honestly started putting this together 15 minutes before 1 o'clock, hence I was late. I apologize. That's on me. I was up really late last night assembling this guy and then forgot to set an alarm. Or I slept through it. All right, I think that's all.
Binks wanted to sleep in today.
Yeah, Binks wanted to sleep in. She was happy to hang out. All right, guys, thank you for joining. I'm going to post this on Instagram. This is going to be on my YouTube as well. So if you got in really late and you want to see the whole unboxing and all the chatting we've been doing, I'll have it on my YouTube. I'll do a link in a little bit. And thanks for being here, Nick Brim. Thanks for being here, everyone. Yeah. Frank, I saw Tiff was in here. Yeah. Carmine was in here. Carmine's going to be here in an hour and a half, by the way.
Oh, Carmine's going to be here.
There's people coming. And yes, please, if you ever have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I mean that. Hit me up. If I don't answer, it's not ignoring you. I just sometimes get a lot of messages, but I'll answer as quickly as I can. I love helping people out with this. I think it's just such a good hobby, and I think this is the future. You're able to fix stuff around your house and have fun and make cool stuff, create something from nothing. I mean, this is where the future is at. So with that, I love you all. You guys are great. Emma, thank you for helping.
You're welcome.
All right, bye. Bye. You want to end that one?
Yeah. Bye.
And YouTube, I love you guys too. Thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah.
All thousands of you. Oh, actually, no, I've like 10 people in there. That's awesome. So you guys are great. Thank you for joining. Again, love you all. Bye-bye.
I think